The Lake Erie Grape Discovery Center is the official visitor center for the New York State Lake Erie Concord Grape Belt Heritage Area. Supporting and promoting the grape industry, visit us and learn about grape growing history in the Lake Erie region. Shop for grapey gifts, taste local wine in a Concord vineyard. Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. Meter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Meter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie. From the Access Channel 5 studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Channel 5. Continuing the traditions of Senior Report, we are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week, countywide, from 9 to 10 a.m. Join us by calling in live, emailing us, or checking out our social media. And now, from the Channel 5 studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Hey, happy Saturday, everybody. I'm Doc Hamels, and welcome to Chautauqua Sunrise. We've got a very interesting and I think thought-provoking show coming up here in a little bit once we get through some of the stuff that I usually do in the beginning with community announcements and sharing some really interesting facts about Chautauqua County. So if you can't stick around, I understand, because there's so many things going on today. But remember, you can always watch us at 2 and 8 throughout the week, or, of course, go to YouTube and you can watch us forever and ever and ever. Okay? So if you have any interest today, I want to remind you up front that you can give us a call at 753-5225. You can Twitter us, email us. There's probably other things I'm thinking about. We're on Facebook. You can get a hold of us. You can call, and if you're shy, leave a message. They'll hand me your question or comment, and we'll share it right here on the air. So please, this is interactive. We just don't want to be one-sided, and sometimes we do get calls. Sometimes we don't. That's okay. But if you watch this later in the week and you have a question, send it in anyways, and we'll address it the following week, okay? Not a problem, because we always can get to our guests. Well, I don't know about you, but it was a little cold yesterday morning, this morning. I'm glad my dog decided to jump in bed today and yesterday, because it was like, kept the bed warmer. It was 49 degrees, I think, yesterday. I think it was pretty close to that this morning. But, you know, some people say, oh, summer's over. But you know what? It's good sleeping weather, and you have the nice warm days. And if this is your first time in Chautauqua County or in the area, either living or visiting, this is just as nice a time of year as the summer or the spring is. In fact, I kind of like it a little bit more sometimes because it's more comfortable, and we're getting into the Concord grape harvest season. We're into the fall season pretty soon. Not yet, but pretty soon. Just a lot of good weather yet, fishing and camping, and this is great weather to get together for family reunions. Labor Day's coming up and all that stuff. So great time to be alive in Chautauqua County, and I'm going to share a few things with you just in a second. Let's see here. What do I have? I want to give a shout out to my friends down in Warren, Pennsylvania. Will and I played there down on Liberty Street in Kelsey Park. Is that what it's called? Kelsey Park. And We played for their first Friday yesterday, and it was a lot of fun. And so, thanks for having us. And folks down in Warren are always warm and friendly, and just like every other town here in America, everybody gets along pretty well. That's great. Let's see. I'm going to get right into the things that are going on in Chautauqua County. Every week, I announce things and I share things with you, and I hope that you realize that sometimes you're going to hear some of the stuff only here, and you might not always read it in the paper. You may not always catch it on Facebook. So we should be a center for information for you. Also, I should not forget, I want to say good afternoon to our friends at WRFA at 107.9, low power to the people, who will be listening to the audio track of this on Tuesdays at 1 o'clock. So good afternoon, Jamestown, New York. We're so glad we could be with you. Okay, so let's share some things that are going on, and let's start out right in Jamestown with our good friends at Infinity. got a lot of stuff going on this week. This is going to be a busy week for them. All right, I got to get my lips ready. Here we go. Post Poetry Slam Open Mic Night. First I thought it was McKnight, like McDonald's, but it's Mike Night. Calling all poets and poetry lovers, the Infinity Visual and Performing Arts Center will be hosting, here we go, Pulse Poetry Slam Open Mic Night on Thursday, September 7 at 6 p.m. at the Infinity Arts Cafe. Poets and audience members are welcome. Okay, here we go. Ready? Pulse Poetry Slam events are free, family friendly, and open to the public. Performance poetry is an excellent way to express creativity while practicing performance and public speaking. I think they write that just for me, just so I practice my alliteration. Anyways, lots of fun, and if you have never been to one of these, I've seen some of the videos. It's lots of fun, and if you have any interest in joining them, get over there. Give them a call at 664-0991. Ask for Autumn Echo. She was on here not long ago. Also, the Local Music Showcase. Infinity's 14th annual Local Music Showcase will be held a week from today. I'm really excited. Will and I are going to be there. Let's see, they're still looking for door volunteers and sound engineers. I think they need 2 more, they said. And if you're interested, give them a call over at Infinity. Again, 664-0991. And if you do work and volunteer, they'll give you a free access wristband so you can bounce around and enjoy the music. Okay, so what is this? This is where I think it's 50 different groups donate part of the evening, usually about an hour, and they play at about 12 different venues. I'll list them here real quick in a second. But you're going to hear music that is acoustic rock. You're going to hear some Celtic. You're going to hear country, funk, jazz, original material, heavy rock, you name it, you're going to get a little sampling. It's like a smorgasbord of music in Chautauqua County, all right? And I am still in awe of the talent and the breadth of musical creativity that's in Chautauqua County. And this is just a slice of that, because I know other groups are already working that evening and they probably can't make it. I try to hold that night free myself because I'm not quite as dependent on working as a musician, but it's still a good sampling of the area. So listen to this, all right? These are the venues that you can visit throughout the evening. You pay money, and then you can go all over the place. Okay, here we go. Brazil, Forte, the Infinity Arts Cafe, Jamestown Skate Products, The Labyrinth, Mojo's, Shawbucks, The Pub, The Q, and The Wine Cellar, where Will and I will be performing, and our good buddies Ing and Davis will be there as well. And then there's just all kinds of people. Like I said, many people I know over the years are going to be performing, and great evening. So get out there, get your wristband, and hopefully the weather's nice, and you can just stroll the streets of Jamestown and visit all kinds of music. Okay, let's go to Dunkirk. The Northern Chautauqua Community Foundation grants and scholarships program is in full swing, and if you are interested in applying for one of these, or just interested to see what kind of money is available through a grant, check them out at we don't do W's anymore. Just go to nccfoundation.org. As I mention all the time, they've got money available, and sometimes it goes undistributed, and your club or organization might be able to benefit. Okay, let's go up to Silver Creek. The Silver Creek Irving Heritage Fund Committee is accepting grant applications until September 20. The foundation provides funding to new community initiatives, leadership development, and charitable programs that address the most pressing issues within the Silver Creek Irving community. All charitable organizations that serve the Silver Creek Irving community are eligible to apply for a grant. Applications are available at the Village of Silver Creek in the Town of Hanover offices. Let's see, Anderson Lee Library. It's at the Anderson Lee Library. I thought that was a person. Has the applications as well. The application is also accessible at the Northern Chautauqua Community Foundation website that I just mentioned. Again, nccfoundation.org, and you can look it up for the Silver Creek Irving Heritage Fund. Now here's a good example of a town that put some monies together and grew the fund, I'm sure, and now they're giving back to the community. They take the interest off and they give it out. Ripley's done the same thing, and no other towns and organizations have done it. Okay, also they want you to know, same organization, that they're going to have a grant writing workshop on October 10. So those of you who say, I've never written a grant, this is your opportunity, go check it out, and they're going to teach you how to write a grant and some of the tricks. This workshop is designed to arm nonprofits with the fundamentals of grant writing and is free to all nonprofits, charitable organizations, and municipalities wishing to submit grant proposals to funding sources. The Patterson Library, I can't talk today. The Patterson Library is hosting this training in their Octagon Gallery at 40 South Portage Street in Westfield. Sherry Lance, she's a professional grant writer, will lead the workshop, providing practical tips and strategies for writing each component of the grant application. Registration is required, but it's free of charge. So check it out. All right, big doings right now in Westfield. All right, happening right this minute. All right. The Westfield Memorial Hospital is 75 years old today. They are having their walk for, healthy walk right now. And the events are taking place from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. out on the front lawn. And here's some of the things that you're going to be able to check out. There's going to be family games. They're going to be giving out free mementos. Ice cream for everybody. There's going to be a raffle, including a 40-inch TV, a girl's bike, a boy's bike, a family tent. And if you get a chicken barbecue, you write your name on the back of the ticket after you get your chicken barbecue. I got my tickets already, and they're going to have a drawing for one of those prizes. Oh, it's a Walk for Wellness. I knew it was something like that, Healthy Walk. Walk for Wellness already started with registration, and I believe at 10 o'clock sharp, the walk itself will begin. Anyone that shows up for the walk gets a free t-shirt. All right, the hospital auxiliary is offering a chicken barbecue from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's only $10, and you can get the tickets at the lobby, or you can get them right there if there are any tickets left. I made sure I got mine. There's going to be a huge hospital giant birthday cake, which won the second place in the Mayville Parade this year. That's going to be on display. Life Flight helicopter will be on location for family and children to go look and explore and get your picture taken. There's going to be a presentation at 11 o'clock. I know that the president of the board, Helen Barron, is going to be addressing the community, as well as Catherine Young, and I think Andy Goodell is going to be there, and other folks. So it's going to be a great day. And then we're encouraging everybody to wear their I was born at Westfield Memorial Hospital. I was a Westfield Memorial Hospital baby button. Say that 10 times fast. Okay. Many of you bought those before the parade and wore them for the parade, and they're going to have them on sale as well. And I would tell you to contact them, but it's already in motion. So I'm going to be there. You can look for me, and if you do see me, come on up and say hi. I've got my Westfield button that said we did it. Westfield Memorial Hospital is here to stay. As many of you may remember, it was almost closed down by the recommendation of a commission at the New York State level, and the local community fought back, and the hospital is here to stay, and they have their certificate of need that goes on forever. There's a term for that into infinity as long as they follow the rules. And so West Memorial Hospital is serving their communities all in this area, and it's a great hospital, and I'm proud to be part of that cause. All right, let's move on. Callie's Crusade. This is happening this coming week. It's a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping children and families with a serious illness. They would like to invite the public to attend their 5th annual Callie's Crusade fundraiser, September 4, at the Lakewood Rod and Gun Club, located at 433 East Terrace Avenue in Lakewood. Okay, the day kicks off with a motorcycle ride around Lake Chautauqua, and then they're going to stop in Bemis Point, followed by a 5K color run. And let's see, I'm trying to think. There's going to be music. They're going to have people dressed up. There's going to be the band Smokin' 45, DJ Payne. Let's see, I'm going through this real quick here. There's going to be a raffle, all kinds of good things. And from what I've been told, last year Callie's Crusade has donated over $10,000 to families and local hospitals. And let's see here. For more information, you can go contact them at Callie's Crusade. And check it out now. It's with K's now. Callie's Crusade at Outlook.com for more information. So that's coming up September 4th. Okay, what do we got here? Chautauqua Lake Ice Industry. A lot of people didn't realize that Lake Chautauqua was harvested for its ice back in the olden days when they had ice boxes. And the Mayville Tuesday Club is going to have Fletcher Ward, who's going to go back in time telling about the past of the Chautauqua Lake ice industry. All right, let's see here. It's going to be held September 5 at 1:30. Hang on a second. At 92 South Erie Street, and that's at the Mayville Library. Also, they want you to know the tickets for the library fundraising dinner will be available. That's going to be held September 8th at Webb's Restaurant. All right, so that's coming up. So that should be a lot of fun. If you have any questions, give President Goodrich a call at 752-7472. Okay, let's go to Westfield. My good friend Rick Mascaro, many of you know, he's been on the show and he helped me co-host the Mayville Parade this year. He's written a play called Harvest Moon, and is featuring a lot of the personalities and folks that made a difference in the Westfield area. And he has actors that are portraying each of these famous people. And this is going to be held today at 8 p.m. and Wednesday, September 6th, starting at 8 p.m. And it's going to be held at the Presbyterian Church in Westfield at the Sanctuary. I had the good fortune to be part of a production that we did with the It's a Wonderful Life, and we did it in the Sanctuary, and it's a beautiful facility, good acoustics, and if you're interested in checking out Rick's production, please, by all means, do it. All right. Slide 19 is a new one. Got this by email the other day from our friends at Cassock, and they just wanted me to share this with you. All right? Friends take care of friends. Know the signs of an overdose and call 911 immediately. You are protected by the Good Samaritan law. Save a life. And for more information on how to spot overdose, contact Cassock. Call them at 664-3608 or go to their website, Cassock, C-A-S-A-C web, altogether, .org. We have been talking about this on and off for the last year or so. We're losing way too many of our community members and friends to opiate addiction, so please find out more about it, and then maybe you can help save a life. All right, new slide. Annual Toys for Tots fundraiser is going to take place September 16th. The holiday tradition will come earlier this year when Toys for Tots holds its annual kickoff fundraiser September 16th. Right. The 11th annual event will be held in the Willow Bay Theater, located at 21 East 3rd Street in Jamestown, beginning at 7 p.m. Again, this year, the evening will feature a performance by the local comedy troupe, The Lights of Broadway. Entertainment will also be provided by the musical group TPT. And let's see here. I'm just trying to think. For more tickets for this event, give a call at 661-1042. And as you know, they provide toys for, I think we mentioned, 2,400 children in Chautauqua County. Okay, and the celebration is being called Music and Mayhem. Tickets are $25, and obviously it all goes to a great cause. So check it out. Okay, 21, I think this is a new one. Sprout Film Festival. All right. The Sprout Film Festival is going to be held September 29th at the Reg Linnaeus Center for the Arts, sponsored by the Resource Center. Admission is free. For more information, contact the Resource Center. Okay, another one here. Step Up for Kids. This is going to be a 5K run, walk. I like the part about the walk. And Kids Hero Run, Saturday, September 30th, Cassadaga Beach in Cassadaga. Registration 9 a.m. It's a 5K. The 5K run begins at 10 a.m. Kids Hero Run begins at 11:15. Register online at CapJustice, all one word, capjustice.org, or call 338-9877 if you're interested. Okay, I think that's all we're going to do for now. We want to get into our show, so we got a special feature right now that I want you to watch, and we'll be right back, so stay tuned.
I think peace with other faiths and other cultures is the only way that humanity will survive.
In a world inflamed in conflict, three men from different paths of faith come together to promote peace and equality for all humans.
I had seen so many news broadcasts that were portraying Muslims as AK-47 toting maniacs. They wanted to kill everybody. And I couldn't believe that that was an actual portrayal of the common, everyday Muslim.
There's a lot of misconceptions about the Jewish faith. When I was in college, I'm sitting on a couch and some guy's kind of hovering behind me. Finally, I just asked him, I said, "What the heck are you doing?" And he said, "Well, I'm looking for your horns. Yeah, I heard you were Jewish and I just wanted to see."
We pray for our communities to get better and to be better, to rid ourselves and our communities from prejudices and bigotry and violence and all of those evil acts that some human beings decide to do and follow evil doers.
Everybody wants peace. I mean, nobody wants war.
The children of Abraham.
Okay, welcome back. Watching Chautauqua Sunrise. I'm Doc Hamels, and in a moment I'm going to be introducing my guest to you. I hope that you paid attention to that trailer because that is going to be the kickoff to what we're going to be talking about for the next 36 minutes here. I remember seeing a commercial on TV recently where there was a rabbi and a priest, and they were playing chess or having coffee together or whatever, and they were thinking about what they could get each other for. I think it was for the holidays. I'll say Christmas, but I'm not sure if that will be right. And they mail each other a present. And it turns out both of them have bad knees, and they you see them pictured in their respective churches or synagogues, and they're both using these special knee pads. And I just loved it, and I think that sort of is going to be my kickoff today, as far as loving each other, getting along each other, and understanding each other. Good morning, Joe Glarner, and welcome back to the show.
Morning, Doc, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely, Joe. You've been a busy guy since the last time we talked.
Always am.
And you know, we were talking earlier. We met at your bistro down in Frewsburg when I was playing down there, and since then we've kind of kept touch. And I've been keenly interested in your video productions and your movies and things like that. You talked a little bit about the Bigfoot Expo movie that you put together last time, and
yeah, we did a documentary.
Yeah.
We do a lot of. I like doing educational documentaries and things like that.
Joe, not everybody may know who you are, so why don't you give us the old elevator speech of who's Joe Glarner?
Oh, geez. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm the musical director for the Episcopal Missions of Warren County.
Okay, I'm going to keep track of your titles. There's one.
Okay. And I do 2 church services there a week, a Sunday and a Wednesday service. And that's a huge passion of mine. I actually grew up in that church too, so it's more than just a job for me. And we have a great music team that I get to work with, several of them actually. We have 2, and it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy that work, and it's keeps me busy. So I play anything from like the 7th century to what you might hear on the radio today, for like contemporary Christian music and stuff. And then I have a studio where I do corporate video production.
There's 2.
Safety training, film scoring, all kinds of voiceover work. We have green screens.
Wow.
It's a big facility in downtown.
You're talking about
Warren.
put a green screen here where I would have like Randy riding a bicycle in the air behind me or
just
something.
Make sure you got a light meter. That's all I can say. Just make sure you got a light meter.
Okay.
And then I own a couple of different music schools.
There's 2, 3.
There's the Warren Music Conservatory. We have 20 teachers, over 150 students there.
Whoa.
And that's kept me busy for about a year and a half now.
I bet it would.
We just opened a new branch in Kane, Pennsylvania, and we're getting pretty busy. So I'll teach down in Kane on Monday nights. I teach in Warren on Tuesday nights.
I'm going to count that as another one. Okay, there's 4.
Okay. And then I also teach, I'm starting a new guitar program at Sound Rhythm Studios in Jamestown.
Oh, I know those guys.
And
Chris Cotter, those guys?
TR.
McCotch.
Yeah, so you can find me there on Thursday nights teaching guitar. I wrote a guitar book this last year.
That's a writer. Okay, there's another one.
And so that's in its last revision right now. I have an uncle who's got his PhD in music theory, and he's been kind enough to edit it for me, and I had a couple things I need to change, and we're getting into the last run of it now.
Nice.
And so then we're starting another pilot school up in Fredonia this next month too, at Chautauqua Audio Works, where we have, in between all the schools, we have 37 music teachers. So, musicians, as you know, have a hard time making a living, and over the years
That's why I stayed into my teaching and administration role.
I've always had to be creative about, how I was going to feed my family, and the studio has always paid my bills in teaching. So that keeps me rather busy. But, and on the side, I like to make documentary films. I like social justice, and I like to educate and invoke conversations that maybe we won't find on national TV. And so maybe that's why you had me here today.
Because as my viewers know and my listeners, we talk about local issues here.
Yep.
We don't go to the national or international unless something's really, really like pertinent. But everything's local anyways, you know. You forgot last time you told me, and I never knew this, you're a jingle writer too.
Yep, I do a lot of that.
And
right now you can see me
you
and hear me in
All
about
right.
6 languages right now for a company called Royalty Gem.
Yeah?
So I did this video to help inform people about the product and stuff, and so now we had to hire different voiceovers in Arabic and in Spanish and German and French and all the Russian, and so you see me and I just licensed Joseph Glarner did, and so right now you can see me on YouTube yelling at people on late night TV all over the world. So,
that's cool.
Yeah.
I always enjoy talking with you, Joe, and today's no different. You contacted me, as I recall, and said, I got this project and we need to talk about this. And you sent me the trailer, and I looked at it and go, whew, yeah. And so I guess I'm going to just step a little bit outside of my context that I usually stay locally and just say this much. It hit me very hard when I saw the trailer that we all just saw just now and listened to, is that at least this is the flavor of the world right now that we're living in, is that the people are misunderstanding each other, that people are categorizing each other, that if you wear this kind of clothing, if you have this kind of accent, if you go to this church, you are this, which is wrong.
Very wrong.
Okay?
Very wrong.
And so when I saw the trailer, I said, we got to do this. So we're here now.
Yep.
So why don't you walk us through the whole thing? What's Children of Abraham all about?
Well, a good friend of mine and a staff member at the church I work in, Tim Dyer, he was a deacon at the time he started this project, and now he's an ordained minister. He was working towards his bachelor's in theology at the time, from Clarion University, I believe, and was having an issue with the baptismal covenant. You know, it was how do you seek and serve Christ and love people in all of your neighbors? And for him, he thought it was easy to love his neighbor who, you know, lived down the street. It's easy for him to love, you know, someone in a different community 20 miles away. But what about his neighbors that live halfway across the world?
Right.
You know, and so he was having a struggle with a lot of news that he was seeing and things about terrorism and all this animosity that we're always being inundated with. And he went on a journey. He went on a journey to hopefully find people from different walks of faith that maybe wanted to have this dialogue with him too. And he did. He reached out to actually a gentleman here in Chautauqua County, which is why it's so pertinent to your show.
Okay.
Sam Qadri.
Okay.
And Sam
I think he's a known entity here.
Yep.
Sure.
He does PR for the Islamic Society of Jamestown. He's been living in Jamestown, I think, for over 20 years now, and has been a teacher at Jamestown High School. And he also is a driving instructor. I've gotten to become friends with Sam. And I love him to death. He's a kindred spirit. He's got a big heart, and he has a completely different church than I do, and a completely, you know, different culture that he came from. So, you know, Tim reached out to Sam and was reaching out to different Muslim Americans to try to have a dialogue and to have a discussion. And he found that Sam was more than open to this, and actually found that since 9/11, Sam himself had taken it upon himself to go to different Christian churches, you know, on his own to have a dialogue about the similarities.
So they were kind of running parallel.
They were already running parallel, and so when they joined together, it was a no-brainer that they wanted to go together to different churches and community groups to just have a dialogue that they might not necessarily hear. And so a gentleman, a Jewish man named Harvey Stone, who's a really successful civil engineer from Warren, Pennsylvania. He lives there. I believe he was born and raised in New York City, somewhere in the Bronx or Brooklyn, you know. He joined them for the first couple of years of him doing it. I think Harvey's retired and living in Florida a lot, or what. I think he stepped away from the group as much as he was. But for a couple of years, they were very active as the three of them. You know, so you had a Jewish man, a Muslim, and a Christian. You know, a priest.
Into a bar.
Walk into a, well, they would more or less say coffee house, but anyways, it's a really interesting story about a broken family that needs reconciliation.
A broken family.
Yeah, and I talk about the family of Abraham. You know, everybody.
Oh, you're not talking about a local family?
No, I'm talking about
We're talking biblical.
I'm talking an ancient family, and we don't even have to necessarily say biblical. Yes, it's in our Bible, but it's also in the Quran. And this is also in a lot of the Jewish teachings too. So the Torah.
Wait a minute. You're saying this precedes the Bible?
Yes.
So it goes back before these things were even written, probably.
Before they were even necessarily written.
There was no news reporter at the time.
Well, the King James version of the Bible is what we currently probably look from. I mean, there is the NIV and other versions of it, but before that, you know, a lot of these texts were kept by the church, and they weren't publicly, you know, for sale or accessible. Okay, right. But you know, a couple thousand years before Christ was even born, this is when this story is taking place.
Right.
So people have heard. Maybe they've heard Father Abraham had many sons. Many sons had Father Abraham. I am one of them, and so are you. So that song is about a man named Abraham who was living in his father's land. And at that time, there was a lot of idols. So someone would carve a statuette or something, and they would put it up, and they would worship it, and they would have many of these idols.
The bulls and snakes and whatever. Yeah.
And Abraham had this clear vision, as it's recorded, that, you know, God came to him and said, you know, I am one true living God, and Abraham had this thought, well, if I could make this idol, why would I worship it? You know, and so he was impressed upon him or spoken to him by God that he should leave his father's land and go resettle somewhere else, basically.
Okay.
And so the biblical version of it is different than the Torah and the Quran's version of it. There are slight changes in the way the story is told,
Okay.
but I'll tell you it from the Anglo-Saxon version.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so in the Bible,
Okay.
it tells us that Abraham left his father's land with his wife Sarah, and they were actually getting on in years at that point too. And in the Bible, it says that Sarah had a handmaiden named Hagar from Egypt. Now, in the
Wait a minute, we're talking about a woman named Hagar?
yeah.
That's a Viking.
Well, in the Quran, they don't call Hagar a handmaiden to Sarah. She's actually considered a second wife.
Okay.
Okay, so there's differences in the story, but I'm going to tell you the biblical version of it, because
right.
most people in our culture are going to be able to, relate to that version of it better. So they leave Abraham's father's land, and years pass on, and God came to Abraham and Sarah and promised them a son that was going to be,
They're like 100 years old
Yeah,
I think,
yeah.
in the storyline, if I
yeah,
remember right.
yeah, well, it's close.
Old.
Yeah, old. And so basically, he was supposed to be the heir to many generations to come, and that his descendants would be as numerous as the stars.
Pretty hard to do when you don't
Okay.
have any kids, yeah.
Yeah, and they're getting on in years at this point, and so Sarah becomes very frightful that this child is never going to come, and tells Abraham to lay with Hagar to make this son that God had promised, and so he does. And the son that comes is Ishmael. Okay, so a couple years go by, and Sarah miraculously, at like the age of like 70 or 60 or something, however it was written, or 90. I think it's 90.
Yes, let's go older. 60's not that old.
Don't quote me on the age, but it was an age that even today we would go,
Yeah.
whoa,
Yeah, whoa, that's right.
So she had a son named Isaac, and so what happened was this. Sarah became very jealous of Hagar and Ishmael, because now she thought this promise of all these descendants or something would go to the other son, not the son that
Okay.
she had with Abraham. And so she tells Abraham to send them in the desert and to get rid of them, basically. And so, much to his dismay, he does. Now, this is another part where the story
Hagar gets the
changes.
boot. All right.
This is another part where the story changes, and it's good for us to know both sides of the story.
Okay.
Okay. So the biblical version is Abraham says, "See ya," and they go into the desert, and that's done. Now, as far as I understand, in the Quran's version of it, and my Muslim friends, the way they've been told the story is, Abraham actually takes Hagar and Ishmael into the desert. And miraculously, she pleads with God. She can't find water for her son, and so the biblical version of it, he just kicked him out, and she finds water, and even in the Bible it says that they were promised that God promised Ishmael and Hagar that they also would be the heir of all these generations. Okay, and so what happens is a water well appears, and they're saved, and he goes on to be a magnificent archer, and she finds a bride for him, and so this. But in the Muslim faith, they believe that Abraham took Sarah and Hagar, took Hagar and Ishmael. This is
I understand.
and took them to this place where we now know it as Mecca.
A different spin on it altogether,
Okay.
yeah.
So Mecca is supposed to be this place where
Right.
Father Abraham took Hagar and Ishmael to be safe.
Okay.
And so that they could have a safe place to live and thrive there. And so this is Mecca, and this is why it's such a holy place for them.
Okay.
So, now here we are, 5,000 years later. Fast forward, and so there's a lot to talk about, and what's happened since then. There's a lot of stories. Before the show today, some of your crew was talking to me, and it can be exhausting, because it really ultimately, I think this story is about a broken family, a family of humanity that needs some kind of reconciliation. It needs some kind of healing. It needs some type of narrative or dialogue that is unlike the narratives and dialogues that we're currently hearing in a lot of our major media outlets and a lot of our major news networks, and politically people are pushing a lot of ideology right now that is dangerous. And we've spent generations trying to fight this kind of hate and this kind of misunderstanding. And we think it's time for education. We think it's time to have a different narrative to this story. So instead of looking at our differences and how this story evolved, instead of looking at how different we could be, this film is really talking about the similarities.
All right. So there's a common
thread that all these three monotheistic faiths have, because Hagar and Ishmael were direct descendants for our Islamic friends that are Muslims.
Okay, so that's that part.
Yep. And so obviously Abraham had Isaac, who was a descendant for the Jewish lineage.
Okay.
And as Christians, that's where we come from, the same place.
So
right?
they split.
They split from there.
Right.
So the tree of prophets is this really interesting thing I saw once in a mosque here in Jamestown, where it showed a lot of the different prophets and how they branched off and how we were more related than we were different. And so I thought this was a beautiful thing that they had in their mosque to show how we were all intertwined, and that our beliefs at the core are really more similar than they are different.
And then if we take it to the next level, you take various Christian groups who split off from there, and I'm sure, and then you got the Jewish, they
same
split
thing
off.
there, and the same thing with the Muslims too.
So each of those have like cousins to cousins to cousins, but they all go back to one person.
Denominationally, we have differences.
Right.
Okay. And but spiritually, we really all believe that there's one God. And so I guess this is the common thread that we all have to remember, that we are worshiping the same God Abraham worshipped. We are all talking about the same concept. And our faith, through theological context, helps us better cope with the world around us. And it helps us better relate to humanity at its core and how we should be treating and talking to each other.
The whole time we're having this discussion, I'm thinking back, probably I was still in college, and a friend of mine invited me to her church. It wasn't the same church I went to. And I was there, and I'm listening, same prayers, same concepts, and then I invited her to come to my church. And she says, "What's with all the kneeling and up and down?" They didn't have kneelers. They didn't have that. They just they sit, and then at the end they get up and leave.
Sure.
So it was sort of to me it was a funny thing, because I hadn't thought about that before. That was a very minor difference, but we still had the same.
It's a big difference to her, though.
But she was very foreign.
Yeah, and I know this as a staff member in the Episcopal Church, that even though theologically we are the same as a lot of the other churches,
the interpretation of it all,
but our interpretation of it and how we do it, how we worship,
the rituals,
the liturgy and the wording, the vocabulary that we use, the Eucharistic prayers that we use, there's a lot of history and heritage behind that isn't going to change anytime soon. And people choose to do it or they don't, and take it or leave it. But the differences just in between one Christian church and the next can be drastic, is what you pointed out.
Right.
And so think about the differences in between different faiths now. So how do we get a culture like ours to have a better understanding of their Muslim friends or their Jewish friends? And I guess what the film is trying to get at is, these three gentlemen made a commitment to each other and to their communities to try to advance the education of each other's different cultures and their different beliefs, so that we feel more similar than different.
And we understand why one church you kneel, and one church you get on the ground, why you would have bread, one doesn't have bread, one why?
I still struggle with the rattlesnake handlers down south, but
at least you can ask the question instead of standing back going, what is this?
Right,
You know,
right.
you know, why are you doing that? And then when you understand, oh, that's why you do it. Okay.
If humanity is to survive, if humanity is really truly to survive and thrive, you know, people that have been a part of this film project, and this just isn't myself, I'm speaking about the people we documented, you know, Sam, Tim, and Harvey.
Right.
They truly feel that education and a loving heart is the first place to start, you know, and trying to make that step of understanding.
All right, let me see if I grasp now the beginning of all this. So you had an individual who said basically, I need to get a handle on how I feel towards other religions. And other people were doing the same. And somehow or another, they got together and formed this triumvirate.
Yep.
A Muslim, a Jew, and a Christian, right? And then they wanted to say to the world, to not let's say the world, the community about them, their friends, their churches, and that, we need to do a better job of understanding each other and also explaining where we come from, so that, as you said, we find our similarities rather than our differences. The differences really aren't that big of a deal when you look at the amount of similarities that there are. And so then how did you get involved?
Well, I guess for me, I was watching what Tim was doing, and I you know, he was making an announcement that the Children of Abraham project would be here, and then they'd be here, and so
so the three of them,
they were
called
already
themselves-
doing this.
So these three guys were the Children of Abraham, the three of them.
Yep.
Oh, all right.
So
Now I
they
got
were
it.
doing these talks, and they were engaging different community groups and churches in this type of dialogue. And I said to Tim, who was my friend, I said, you know, this needs to be documented and spoken about at a much larger level than you going into a church with 12 people. You know, this is something that more people should be hearing about, and more people should have a better understanding of. So I said, why don't we try to make a little, you know, educational documentary film? Since I do that, you know, since I think I would like to take some spare time over. It took us 2 years. You know, we had to take some time off in between because life gets in the way. But it took 2 years for us to, you know, sample together some different clips and interviews. And there was some magnificent artwork also done by Crystal Joy. And there's an animated section of the film.
I gotta go back and look for that.
And so, you know, I ended up learning a lot through this process too, and
What did you
discovered.
learn? What did you learn?
Well, I learned. Well, a lot.
Well, just
But
things that come to mind.
For instance, you know, I learned that maybe I was closed-minded in many ways before doing this film. Maybe I did.
Were you surprised by that?
Yeah, I guess I was. I mean, I always tried to maybe pride myself that I was, you know, a progressive thinker, or you know, or I was pretty well educated, but. You know, I would learn new things all the time that just made me feel, you know, like I wasn't informed as much as I could have been, and so it definitely made me slower to speaking so quickly, and listen more to people, and try to see life from their lens, not just my own. You know, and so getting to know Muslims and becoming friends with them on a personal level. Changed me, you know, as I think it would just about any white kid from Pennsylvania. You know, this isn't something that I was used to. I wasn't used to having friends that were from a different type of faith, or from a different.
Why would you? You know, when you think about it, you're
Right.
grown up in a homogeneous
Right.
setting, and you're not exposed really.
Right.
But that shouldn't be holding us back, though, right?
It shouldn't, but I guess, you know,
But it's easy to fall into.
it is easy to fall into that trap, I guess. I came from Warren, Pennsylvania, which you were just talking about, you know, city of 10,000. And I lived in Los Angeles and New York City before I was 21. And then I lived in Portland, Oregon, and I've traveled all over the country playing music. So when I didn't live where I currently live, I was exposed to a lot more diversity, a lot of different people. And I had friends that were Muslim. I just didn't get into that place where I actually understood how we were related. I didn't understand what the similarities really were. And I didn't even understand the differences they even have in their own faith, like we do and maybe in our culture too. And I'm not even going to say faith, our culture.
Right.
Because we have people that are atheists. We have people that, and we all live together. We can all live in peace together and have a conversation without it turning into a fight. And what I learned, I think, really was that, the average everyday Muslim, despite what they want to tell you on TV, is not out to get you. Sure, there is a portion that is radicalized, but the same could be said about our culture for different ways, okay? And so we both deal with, looking at the less of our society, looking at the lowest, of our culture, that's what's being focused on.
Right.
And that's not fair. That's not fair.
So
to my Muslim friends.
What would the Muslims say about those radical ones that want to come out and get us?
Well, let me tell you, a couple of years ago, there was 70,000 imams that gathered.
What's an imam?
It's like a priest.
Okay.
And they gathered together to rebuke violence in the name of faith. No one covered it. No one.
How many?
Covered it. 70,000. Okay, that would be like the entirety of one of our churches, priests getting together and saying enough is enough. You cannot be preaching love while you're out there.
That's like half of Chautauqua County.
Right. And so it wasn't covered, and I think that's really unfair. And I brought this up to a couple of my Muslim friends once, and they just started. Yes, we know that this has been something that culturally they have tried to rebuke this violence, but time and time again they get represented by a few people who are trying to use their religious beliefs as a way to gain power for their own personal agenda.
So is this the old saying that only negativity sells newspapers?
Yep.
Sells commercials?
Yep.
Isn't that sad?
It is.
It
is.
It's being filtered by money.
Yeah, and so when it really got down to it, I just said to my friend Tim, I said, more people need to know this. Need to know this dialogue. They need to hear this conversation.
And that's why you called me.
That's why we're here.
Because we don't get filtered here.
Right. And so Channel 5, we're hoping, is going to be able to screen the film too for the viewers in Chautauqua County here.
So let's talk about the movie now. The film. We call it a movie or a film? What's the difference?
Either one.
Either one.
It's really a documentary film.
All right.
The movie, I guess, would be more,
I don't know. All right. The film. All right. So how can people see this film besides here? Because this is going to go on the radio, and they may not be able to access 5.
Well, we're going to be debuting the film here shortly. It might even be on Access 5. We do have a couple churches and a film festival or two that are interested in screening the film and premiering it. And so just follow us online. We have a Facebook page, The Children of Abraham.
Okay.
And if you search us, give us a like, and we'll be able to point you in the direction of where you can see it.
So on Facebook, you just put Children of Abraham, and that will come up?
Yeah, and you'll see the 3 faces of the gentlemen that were in the trailer.
Okay.
And we're pretty easy to find. Okay. And I'll invite you to the page so you can share it with viewers.
Yeah, we'll post it to the Chautauqua Sunrise. Folks, you're watching Chautauqua Sunrise, and we're having a great in-depth discussion with Joe Glarner about a project called Children of Abraham. And just to recap, we seem to have our cultures that all go back, and our faiths that go back to one man. That's a lot of responsibility.
It is. It is. Yeah.
But you know what? You could be an Abraham today, or I could be an Abraham, and we have to be careful what we create, right?
Yeah. I think ultimately, it's really about, what do we want out of this conversation? What do we want by having this conversation? And that's just a better understanding of each other. Instead of having animosity and fear rule our lives and rule our culture and rule our news, well, why can't we just have a different dialogue and a different narrative? And we do have that power. It's through nonprofit stations, it's through online media, it's through social justice initiatives. So I just encourage people to not be afraid of someone if they see them dress differently or worship differently, or have a conversation, get to know that person. You might be surprised, and you might find a friend.
You know, I'm sort of the opposite. I'm really never afraid. I'm really curious.
Right.
And then I feel stupid to say, do you have hair underneath that veil? Or, you
Right.
know, why do you wear those? You know, I want to ask that question, and I'm hesitant to because I don't know them, you know. But if I had the opportunity, I would, because that's just how I am. And I remember when I worked in the inner city up in Buffalo, I worked in the Afro-American community quite often, and the kids would come up and they wanted to stroke my hair because it was totally different. And they were trying to get me to do an afro, and so I said, well, I don't know how to do that. So they were telling me all the gels to use and things like that. So I'm always into these sorts of things. I'm very interested in differences and similarities at the same time.
Sure.
And so it's really cool. So as far as the film, if somebody down the road wanted a copy of this, how would they get a copy? I mean, is this something for general distribution, or how are you going to do that?
You know, we really haven't done this project as a for-profit.
No, well, I'm not saying for
film.
profit, but what if they do want a copy of it?
If they do want a copy of it, message us on Facebook,
Okay.
and we'll make sure that you get one and have access to a link. Right now, we want to give film festivals an opportunity, and maybe stations like yours, an opportunity to screen it. We can't release it technically because a lot of film festivals don't want it if it's released. You know, so there's got to be a reason of value of why they would screen it at their film festival. And so when films get made, they usually spend the first couple of years in film festival circuits. You know,
Right.
so far we've been denied by 20 festivals, which and it's not because it's not a good film. It's because it's a taboo subject, and a lot of them just want to stay away from it, you know.
You know, I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and this would not have been a taboo subject then.
No.
And
No, it
it's
would
like,
have been welcomed.
what
Right.
happened? All that work we all did back then, it seems like it's gone away, and we're back
Yep.
to this closed-minded.
We've had a
we don't
couple
talk
festivals
about it.
that were really excited, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, this is really original. This is real." Because online and out there, I've seen a couple like exposés, a couple shorts, we'll call them, about this subject, but nothing that took it into a feature length, and nothing that really went into detail and the things that we did in this film. So this is really a unique documentary, and I know PBS of Pennsylvania right now is taking a look at it, and they're considering
Terrific.
out of Penn State and their Philadelphia station. Hopefully they'll feel like they should be having this discussion too.
All right, I want to talk to my viewers and listeners right now. Folks, I encourage you to take Joe up on this invitation to go to Children of Abraham on Facebook. And is the film posted there yet?
The trailer is there.
The trailer is there.
Yep.
Check out the trailer. The quality is beautiful. The sound is excellent. It's rich. It's well done. This is going to be worth your time and effort to at least listen to what's being said to get started on this topic. This isn't just a cheesy little thing, that somebody did in their living room or whatever. This is really an excellent film, and the quality is excellent, as I said. So now
Original
what?
film score too. I scored
Did you?
music to
All
the
right,
whole
it's
film.
beautiful.
Yep.
Joe, we've got 1 minute and 11 seconds left. Did you want to talk about the Bigfoot exposition, or did you want to
Sure.
talk? Well, I mean, you got
Am I
the
allowed
last.
to hold this
Yeah,
up?
yeah,
Okay,
sure.
So we did a film a couple of years ago called "I've Seen Bigfoot" right here, and right here's a Bob Gimlin over here. Bob Gimlin from the Patterson Gimlin film, and Steve Calls from Discovery Channel. He hosted Monster Quest, and it was a
Okay.
pretty popular show. And so you can find we have a movie night going on October 13th, and you'll find it's over at Camp Anyasa. And it's really cool. We'll have filmmakers and monster movie makers there, and
Sounds like fun.
and then the expo is on the 14th, and I will be there filming the expo as usual and possibly speaking about the subject. It's been a fun. It's been a really fun ride. It's the 6th annual expo. Bigfoot and Sasquatch enthusiasts coming from all over the country for this event.
Well, I'm gonna try to make it
and
this year.
it's really fun if you've never seen it. It's also fun for kids. There's lots of kids events, and good time.
Joe Glarner, as always, it's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thanks, Doc.
You have really spiked a lot of interest in my mind. Folks, check out Children of Abraham on Facebook, and hopefully you'll be able to watch the film here on Access 5. We've run out of time. I wish we could talk further, but we'll do this all again next Saturday morning right here at Access 5 at 9 a.m. And as always, you can watch this show over and over again on YouTube once we get it posted. Have a great weekend. Happy Labor Day. Take the day off and just relax a little bit out there, will you? So let's remember our Jewish friends, our Muslim friends, our Protestant friends, our Christian friends, whatever, big, little, red, green, orange. We're all in this together. Let's love each other and take care of each other. I'm signing off, and we'll see you all again next week. Take care.